Hi y'all, I'm Granny Cox, and I'm going to discuss how I feel about my Second Amendment right to carry and own a gun, and how I feel about those who want to take that right away from me and you too. I am a 70-year-old senior citizen. In my other life, I was a federal firearms dealer. I believe in my constitutional right to bear arms. I am sick and tired of the liberal left rallying for stricter gun control laws that will take this gun away from me. I was making artisan bread at my home when U.S. Senator Representative Steve Scalise, House Majority Whip, was seriously wounded by gunfire from an angry Republican-hating gunman. 2 Capitol Police officers, a congressional aide, and a lobbyist were also injured. This man who did the shooting, James T. Hodgkinson of Illinois, performed a political assassination attempt against a group of Republicans. Why did he do this heinous act? It's hard to say, but he made it clear on his social media page he hated Republicans. The left-wing Democrats in and out of our government, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama, who have been calling for their constituents to rise up and resist against Republican conservatives, are partly to blame for the violence which is running rampant against groups of conservatives who are working to support President Trump and his agenda. Scott Pelley, a former CBS News anchor on June 19, 2017, editorialized on TV the main reason for Scalise's shooting. Pelley described Hodgkinson as a progressive left-wing supporter and volunteer of Bernie Sanders who had called President Trump the most dangerous in history. Pelley hinted that the shooter was probably struggling with mental illness. I disagree with that theory. Just because a person does something stupid and violent does not mean that they have a mental illness issue. Now I'm going to quote his statement. It is time to ask whether the attack on the U.S. Congress yesterday was foreseeable, predictable, and to some degree self-inflicted. Too many leaders and political commentators who set an example for us to follow have led us into an abyss of violent rhetoric, which, it should be no surprise, has led to violence." End quote. I feel what Pelley actually said and what was taken out of context by other news media fed the hysteria of that moment. I believe Pelley should not have used the term self-inflicted, because to me that means Senator Scalise asked to be shot through actions of his own doing. Would Pelley had used the same terminology if Scalise had been killed outright? God, I hope not. I agree with Pelley that violent hate-filled commentary by both left-wing Republicans, left-wing Democrats, and especially by outlandish extreme left media entities such as MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, and plus people like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Bernie Sanders, Nancy Pelosi, Senator Schumer, and groups like Black Lives Matter, MoveOn.org, Media Matters, Open Society Foundation, and Barack Obama's own fund group, Organizing for Action, or the OFA, played a major role in leading to the violent and deadly actions against scheduled Republican marches, exercising their First Amendment right to free speech. Now you have the entertainment icons who get high off of feeding their audience sick versions of violent-filled drivel against the disguise as humor. People like Kathy Griffith, who flaunted a photo of a severed head of what looked like President Trump. Madonna screaming to her fans that she wanted to blow up the White House if Trump got elected. And lately, Johnny Depp, who recently made the news headlines talking about assassinating the president just like John Wilkes Booth had assassinated Abraham Lincoln. Why in the hell aren't the Secret Service knocking on these entertainment icon doors and threatening them with arrest is what I want to know. The Secret Service arrested people who threatened Barack Obama with death, and most of these assailants served jail time. Within hours after the shooting, liberal left governmental Democrats who wanted to make a name for themselves and get immediate recognition started the Get Rid of Guns movement by talking to any news reporter they could find. I was truly delighted to see disgust and repugnance emitting from the newscasters of Fox Network against these self-serving, dangerous liberals who are seeking total destruction of the Second Amendment. The call for gun control rings out, and each time there is a mass shooting or a lone wolf ISIS attack, they want to take our guns away from us by creating stricter public laws, and that just won't work. People pull the trigger. People aim guns at their intended human targets. ISIS-leaning suicidal individuals are not only using guns, they are using bombs, knives, trucks, buses, and vans to slaughter their victims. The attacks are random in nature and designed to kill large groups of people. I've not heard anyone from the left calling for stricter purchasing laws of automobiles, vans, or trucks, or even knives for that matter. Why? Because they know it took a person, and that person is responsible for the deaths caused by driving these vehicles full speed into mass groups of unsuspecting people on the streets. Well, folks, it is a person, male or female, making the choice to kill another human being. The gun, the van, the automobile, the truck, or even the knife are only the instruments used to carry out the actions desired by these killers. Take away our guns, then our country will be weaker and readily accessible for overthrow by our country's enemies, both foreign and domestic. I heard once, and I don't remember who said it, but it goes something like this. The only reason America has not been attacked as a nation is because the citizens of the USA are armed. It would be like facing a total resident population of over 325 million people ready and willing to fight for their country. I believe laws should make it harder for felons, mentally disturbed people, or other individuals who wish to try to overthrow our government, or any terrorist group or person who wants to purchase a weapon from handguns to assault rifles. I looked into the laws when I was doing business as an FFL dealer as a way to protect myself from selling a gun to a potential killer. As long as I obeyed the law, then I could not be held responsible for actions of my customers. The Second Amendment gives protected individuals the right to own their own guns and have possession and transport those guns. Our Supreme Court has definitively held the Second Amendment up not only protecting my rights and yours to possess a firearm unconnected with service in the militia, and so that I can use my weapon for lawful purposes, such as defending myself within my home. The Second Amendment gives me the right to bear arms. In this day and age, with the propensity of violence towards certain designated groups of people, such as Republicans, minorities, and other groups, I will continue to protect myself and my family from being harmed. The United States of America is not far from a full-blown civil war, and I'm not the only person out there who feels this will happen if our current violent society behavior continues. Top government analysts are stating there is a coup d'etat taking place right before our eyes, and no one is trying to stop it from happening. It's my fear that left-wing socialist liberals who hate President Trump so much will actually resort to assassination in an attempt to stop his agenda at any cost. If they get complete gun control, you and I won't have any protection at all. They will have all the weapons, and they will have complete control of our government. You and I will be trying to stay alive, and I'm just too damn old and stove up to become a refugee at my age. Now don't sit there and shake your head at me and shut me off. Just think about what I said for a minute. You have a former President of the United States, Barack Obama, and the Democratic National Committee, which are both being funded by rich socialist liberal donors such as George Soros and his funding groups for the sole purpose of implementing their own version of total control of the USA and the complete destruction of conservatism. The DNC has set up a war room fund comprised of Democrats, political, and party leaders. The Democrats want revenge for the loss of the 2016 election against the Republican Party and its followers once and for all. Barack Obama and his shadow government, and that's the group called Organizing for Action, or the OFA, they are responsible for all the professional protester groups and the violence that they create. Why is all of this happening? Well, I believe it's because Barack Obama's desire to have his legacy remain intact for generations to come, so people can see how a single black man with a socialist and communist background was able to change the greatest country in the world into a puppet state of George Soros's making. He wants to go down in history as a great socialist leader. Take care to protect your Second Amendment rights and protect your right to free speech, and work hard to support conservative Republican values of our great country. Until the next time, I am Granny Cox, and I pray for your safety. By the way, if you're questioning my ideas, just start doing your own research like I did, and you will soon be appalled at how these different hostile factions are running amok in our country. It will change the philosophies of your youth, just like it has changed my perception of what I thought was a safe country to live in. Good night.